So I want to share with you guys three transitions that have been meaningful to me. I grew up. My parents were divorced when I was 5. I grew up just loving. In fact, I remember my mom came in and was like, "Me and your dad are getting a divorce," and I was like, "Sweet, like, when are we getting it?" Like I thought it was a boat. Like I didn't know. Like, cool. Like all right. Well, when's it gonna be? Like, I had no idea what that meant, and so I grew up. We struggled financially big time. Both my parents were remarried, and hers, ours. I have 5 original brothers and sisters. Both parents were married with people with kids, and so we had 15 kids between all of us. His, hers, ours, like combined. So when I'd go visit my dad every other weekend, we had sleeping bags, and so it's for years and years and years. Slept on the floor, on the weekends with my dad. And I won't go on a rabbit hole on this, but there's lessons I learned, leadership lessons from rolling up my sleeping bag that are just profound, that I'll share with you guys another time. So zooming forward, my family, we all struggled financially. From the time I was 12, I bought all my clothes, my first car, I was one of the younger ones, so I had like all the hand-me-downs, pay for everything. I'm on my own, right? And I got a job at Sport Chalet. I don't know if you've heard of Sport Chalet, and I was stringing rackets at Sport Chalet and making $7 an hour, and I was like, yeah, and I was paying for my way to this. Now I'm done with high school. I'm paying for my way through college at the local community college, Chaffey College in Rancho Cucamonga, and I got this book, and I read it, and it's called Think and Grow Rich. And this is back in now it was right around 2000. I read this book and I'm like, what? There's like this is for me. Like there's a way better way than like what I've known. And so I started like writing out flashcards, and there was all these funny words not one just came to me, but all these funny words in Think and Grow Rich. I'm like, what is that? And I would like write it out, and I remember stringing rackets, and I started stacking these flashcards where I started like learning like, okay, what is this? And I memorized while I'm just at Sports Chalet making $7 an hour. I'm like, what is this? And people were like, what are you doing with those cards? And I'm just like, I don't know. I was like trying to educate myself, and a friend of mine told me he went out and made $10,000 during a summer. And I was just like, what? Like, you made $10,000 in a summer? And he's like, yeah. And you come with me to this meeting, and like you could do it too. I'm just like, bro. I mean, the most I'd ever made was $7,000 in a year, like stringing rackets at Sport Chalet while I'm trying to pay my way through college. And so I read this book. I'm like in the mindset, I go to this meeting, I'm learning, and I started to be like, if I could go do that, I'm in. So I went out for my first summer. Now, what I want to zoom in, first transition, my parents, bless my mom and my stepdad are the ones who are consulting me. They're like, do not go and do this summer job. Like, stay the course, you're in school, and like, don't go do this job where, like, who knows, like going from $7 an hour, man, that's pretty good, to $0 an hour. Like, don't do it. It's gonna be a big waste. And I'm my own person, but I'm also like respect my parents, and and they wanted so bad for me to go to school and go to college, and so it was a big struggle. And at the time, I lived in Southern California, but I went up to Utah, where this company was headquartered, and from the drive from Utah down to my station in San Diego for my first summer, my car had a 92 Honda Accord. Remember those teal Accords? Mine was like rust teal. And as I'm driving, I'm out of money. I have no money, and my spark plugs kept leaking. And I don't know anything about cars, but my brother-in-law did, and he's like, okay, Ben, here's how you're gonna be able to make it from Utah down to and my spark plugs were speaking, so I had a set of paper towels and a hanger, so that what I would do is when my car would sputter, it would sputter the entire time. But when it would sputter to a stop, literally, when it would stop, it means that the spark plugs need to be dipped in these paper towels to soak up the oil or whatever. So a few times, like every hour or so, it's an 8-hour drive, and it would sputter to a stop, and it wouldn't work anymore. So then I would get out, and he taught me what to do. So I would get the spark plugs out, and I would push the paper towel down there with the hanger, pull it up, and let it sit, and what do you know, it would start. And so I did this pattern for a little bit. I can't pass through Scipio from like Utah to California. I cannot to this day pass without getting just emotional, because in Scipio, it was the third or fourth time that this had happened, and I was geared up for like a long 14, 15-hour drive and do whatever. I have like my bounty things and my hanger, and my car wouldn't. It just in Scipio, Utah. I believe that's in Utah, but yeah, Scipio, Utah. It died, and it wouldn't. I couldn't get it, and it wouldn't start, and no matter what I did, it wouldn't work. And so I walked my way over to the attendant. There was a gas station, and luckily somebody was there, but they couldn't do anything for me. And what was happening? My car's from California, and it was freezing, and it was like this weird storm. There was gonna be snow. My radiator has water, and I can't get it out of Scipio, and I'm just like, and I'm out of money. I couldn't pay the guy to fix it, and nobody was even there willing to help. And I'm just like, the first time with my cell phone, like I've had a cell phone for like 2 months. And like, I'm like, I cannot call my parents. I already know what they're gonna say. Like, yeah, we'll come get you, and we're taking you home. Like, you're not going and doing this job. So I'm like, no. And I just remember like praying my guts out. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I don't have any money, this car. And like, I sat it out for another hour, and I got it to work, and I started driving, and I'm just like, wow, and I was like so excited, but I had so much fear, because if anything goes wrong, every single bump on the road, I'm like, hope my car can make it. And it just was this stress, like joy, stress, like let's just this moment for me. Finally, 14, 15, 16 hours later, I arrive, and it's like 2 or 3 in the morning. We start knocking doors the very next day, and to continue my anxiety is 14, 15 hours of like stress drive and like pray drive, and like, what in the heck am I doing? Like, this is stupid, but I'm like, Napoleon Hill, believe it, conceive it, achieve it. I'm like, I can do this. And so I finally, my phone dies, and I don't have a car charger. Back then, you don't have car chargers. My phone's dead, and I don't know where I'm going. I'm meeting at Marbrisas in San Diego was our apartment complex. And I mean, I took every wrong way to get there when I was in town, and I finally made it. Stopped at several different places. Finally made it to this place, and I pull up, and I'm just like, Marbrisas was just like, oh, are you kidding me? Like, I cannot believe I'm actually like here. And it was middle of the night, and then I just will never forget. I like go around, I walk around, like try to find like the apartment. I don't know. I didn't write it down. It was on my phone. Like, here, meet us here at this place. This is the apartment where we're gonna go. But I see this First Line sign. That's the company that I worked for, and it was a sign, a home security sign in the yard. I'm like, sweet, that's it. Because I mean, it was a brand new company. Nobody had those signs. It was like that was where we were posting up. So I go and I'm like, sweet. I get my stuff out. I go in and it's locked, right? Like, okay. So then I go around the back, and there's I'll just never forget. There's a wall, and then a fence. And so like I'm up on this wall that's bigger than this, and I'm like, get myself up to my stuff down there, and I'm like, get up on this wall, and I pull myself up. So I'm up here, 3 in the morning, and I'm like trying to pull myself up, and I get up, and like, as soon as I extend my arms, I look down, and there's a black widow right next to my finger. And that I'm terrified of black widows. As much as, there's two things I'm afraid of, like weird, nasty spiders and heights. Like even looking down, like from here to down there, like it freaks me out. I have to stay in the middle of the room because I just get freaked out. But anyways, I'm up here, I see this black widow, and I kid you not, I'm 3 in the morning, I'm shot, I'm just like, and I fell backwards, and I landed just straight on my back.
Fell asleep.
And I was just like, this is insanity. Like, what am I doing? Like, everything all the way down to the black widow is telling me, Ben, stop. Like, what are you doing? You have a comfy job at Sport Chalet. like the world was telling me, like, just, you can't do this. You can't break out of this. I'll never forget. I was laying there, and I didn't know what to think or what to say or what to do. 3 or something. Now it's 3 or 3:30 in the morning or whatever, and I didn't know what was gonna happen. But I went back to my car, and I kept a journal. So I actually wrote all this stuff. You can't make this stuff up. So I wrote this. I have the journal entries of this, me sitting in my car, explaining like my black widow, like all the way down, everything all leading up to the black widow, and just like laying on my back and be like all I could hear is like my parents are like they're right, but like no, they're wrong, and I'm just having this battle. The next morning I showed up for my first day of work. I'll tell you what, my first 2 weeks I sold 0. Almost fired from a straight commission job. Jared Taggart, I will never forget the conversation on the curb where he's my manager, and I'll never forget, and be like, Ben, dude, like this sales and like this stuff is not for everybody, and like there's no shame, dude. There's just no shame. If this isn't for you, like no worries. And I remember calling my parents. And they were like, yeah, come home. And I was about to, and I even packed up my stuff. I took a long run on the beach, the Oceanside Pier in San Diego. Long run, bawling, like, what am I doing? I'm an idiot. And after I was done, I just decided, I'm gonna see this through. There's these transition moments in your life, in my life, in our lives, that like make all the difference. And this is the first one I wanted to share with you, was this transition from $7 an hour to taking control of my life. And the world will tell us that we can't do it, we shouldn't do it, it doesn't make sense to do it. And not only the world, but the elements in the world and the insects of the world. I want to just fast forward to 5 years. I'm going to do a Zoom frame with you guys, like for 5 years. First summer, I made $25,000 in that summer.
Woo!
Are you kidding me? And like I made half of what my dad made that summer, and I was just like, I got out of like my debt. I bought a car, like that worked, and I bought I love talk tape, so I listened to tape, and I bought a tape deck that got stolen 2 weeks later, which out of my car. My next summer, I went out and made $50,000 in the summer. While I recruited a few people and helped to co-manage a team, I made $50,000, made as much as my dad in the summer while I was in school full time. Then, the next year, I made $100,000 in a summer. Leading a team, I built a team, I had 30 of them, and I had a rad team. I'm out there in the trenches with them, selling and leading and figuring out gunslinging and like making tons of mistakes and that was like game changing for me. I dropped out of school. and I went all in. I made $286,000 the following summer. Leading a team, building a region all over America. I was an Inc. 500 company in 2007, first line security, and I became the top guy. And then the next year, I made over $400,000 running teams. I had teams all over America, and I like, it was just this epic, like amazing experience for me. And then the second transition.